A lot of people ask me, Father Moses, how can I increase my manliness to absurd levels? Well, today we are going to explore those behaviors which will take you up and take you down. We have this beautiful chart here that is going to show us where we place modern day activities. Number one, looks maxing. If your routine includes dyeing your beard, using some kind of iron, mewing, waxing, shaping your eyebrows, or any other such thing, you have a wonderful place in your mom's basement where you can live and post photos of yourself on Instagram showing a physique or facade that is ridiculous. Cross legs. If your thighs are able to cross perfectly like this, they are simply not big enough. I don't have anything more to say about that. Game Boy. This is anyone who is involved in this Warhammer nonsense. Any kind of fictitious lore that has taken you hundreds of hours to read. Dungeons and Dragons, board games that take 4 to 8 hours. Grand Theft Auto will fall into this as well. I'm gonna say this is definitely in your mom's basement. These are activities for people who don't have anything better to do with their life. If you're a man with a family, it's fine to have a hobby, but when your hobby consumes, 8 hours of your week, every week, preparing and executing for it, and it has no tangible return on investment, I'm gonna say this is not the activity that a married man with children should be engaged in. Great and Holy Lent. This is Saint Maxing. This is the time of the year where we should be committing ourselves to fasting, to being in every prayer service, every church service that we can, committing ourselves to the prayers of the church. This is for Orthodox, like the Olympics, where we really put forth our best effort to be obedient to the church and to maximize our time. I will say nothing will create more of a man out of you than living the life of Christ, especially during the final days of Great and Holy Lent with his crucifixion and into the midnight service celebrating his resurrection. Next, community man. We call this the church Giga Chad. This is somebody that everyone can rely on in the parish community that is able to help with any task that comes up, is utterly reliable, helps in the altar, helps in the choir, all of these things. This is definitely Saint Maxing. When the priest knows that he can rely on you and that you're going to be there, I will tell you, he will hold you in very high regard, and your contributions to the parish are absolutely exceptional. Full-time job. One thing I get questioned about a lot is, Father, I don't have a very manly job. I work in computer programming or whatever else. Should I find something that's more masculine? The fact of the matter is, if you're working a full-time job and you're able to create a good enough revenue to support having your children, your family, there is absolutely nothing not manly about that. You just may have talents that reside in a certain realm of life. So if you got a guy who is a programmer making $250K a year, is it more manly to stop doing that and go be a roofer for $60K a year? Absolutely not. The full-time job, the hard-working husband, this is definitely lumberjack. And I say that because it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're swinging the axe of your mind or your muscles, and you're providing for your family. Cold plunges and sauna. I'm gonna put this under, I got my first tribal tattoo. They're fun, they're enjoyable. There's some health benefits to both of them. Obviously, there's more benefits to sauna, but it's one of those things. If you're doing video of yourself cold plunging and putting it on Instagram or wherever else, it's like you're saying, I have the mental hardness to do something difficult, but I really need your likes and affection. If you're doing something hard, do it in private, don't tell anybody, and don't try to create some kind of pseudo Instagram persona out of it. That is lame. Watching sports. Look, again, all things in moderation. If you're the type of person who's watching the Super Bowl with people, that's fine. If you're the type of person who has an account on some obscure message board where you're talking about you know, I don't know, the Detroit Lions or whatever every single week, and you're arguing about the coach's decision and all this sort of stuff. This is your mom's basement. The people who devote massive amounts of time to ball sports is ridiculous. Is it, you know, sports are not bad, and sports are great for children because it builds teamwork and hard work and effort. But when you're the one who's watching it and you're not actually participating in it, it's pretty lame. You can enjoy it, but when it's taking up huge amounts of time in your life, that time needs to be utilized in a much better fashion. Okay, next one. Thirst trapping, especially male thirst trapping. You're under 200 pounds, you're skinny, you have a six-pack. Because you're skinny, you're not, you know, you're basically victim weight. You're a zebra in the African desert. You can't bench 315 pounds. You're trying to show off your gains for other dudes on Instagram. This is a Timothy Chalamet mustache, okay? This is, you're trying to show something that you think you've created, but it really isn't much. All right? If you need the recognition of other men to cheer you on for what you've accomplished, you've got some massive insecurities that you got to work on. Which goes with the next one, skinny jeans. I'm going to drop skinny jeans down in the Timothy Chalamet mustache as well. Look, if you have quads that are less than 24 inches and you have to wear jeans that are tight, there's something strange going on. There is a point where you're going to have massive quads and then jeans are just going to be tight. That's fine. But when you're trying to show off your physique, but the physique is just skin and bones, there's not much to show off. Cussing. I'll tell you this. This is, I got my first tribal tattoo. This is the David Goggins trying to be hard. Look, cussing does not make you hard. The other thing is too, if you're a hard and dangerous individual, you don't need to tell other people that. It's always the people who are telling everybody about how tough and how awesome they are that are the least tough and the least awesome, okay? So when you're cussing and you're forcing this kind of, I don't know, masculine emotional state on other men, there's nothing masculine about that. Being calm and peaceful in the midst of life and all of its stressors and difficulties and not having to cuss is actually way more masculine. Having a large family. We call this having the full quiver of arrows, as the psalmist says. This is Saint Maxing. This is when you have completely given yourself over to the God's design for family life. And why do I say this? Because having a lot of kids takes a lot out of you as a man. It is an incredible burden to trust God that He's going to help see you through it, that you're going to make it, that you're going to have the ability and wherewithal to tackle this. You know, when you have one or two kids, people normally cut off because it's so hard. And I'm going to tell you from experience, you know, within the last couple of weeks, I've had times where literally children were pooping and vomiting all over themselves, multiple children, even at the same time. And to go through an ordeal like this, it does. It pushes you to your absolute limit of mental fortitude to stay calm, to take care, to clean up everyone, to get everyone washed off and back to bed. This is absolute manliness in service and in action to the people that you love the most and are the most important to you, your wife and your children. Eating soup. Listen, if you're eating a soup that you could not eat with a fork, okay? What I mean is, the soup, if the soup does not contain large chunks of meat, but requires a little spoon that you slurp off of, there is something catastrophically wrong going on. This is definitely a Timothy Chalamet mustache, all right? When you eat soup, it should have chunks of protein in it. It should be basically a watery meal of goodness, a ancient Scottish broth, okay? If it is dolled up and you sit there drinking water by the spoonful over and over again, there is something completely emasculating about that. Last but not least, the most beautiful accoutrement a man can have, a fanny pack. Now, this definitely goes under lumberjack. And the reason I say this is because only a man who does not care what anyone thinks, including his own wife, is able to really rock this with pride and sincerity. And you notice too, the guys who want to wear the fanny pack are the same guys with big quads. It's hard to get things in your pocket. It's hard to carry everything on you. And so you've got to put it in the fanny pack. This is an ultimate item of convenience and at the same time, exceptionally polarizing. And so it is that only the lumberjack, the man who has reached a peak physical status and is able to handle his business, will rock the fanny pack with great pride, joy, and no shame. That is all that I have for you today. I pray that you are able to embrace the top tiers of manliness and cast off your mustaches and move out of your mom's basements. God bless you.